And we're back. You are listening to the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now TV channel. If you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. So all you got to do is pick up the phone and call your TV provider. That's it, man. For all the information about the channel, you can find it on their website, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of now, joining us, Undefeatd Middleweight Contender, George Tahdooahnippah. Good morning, George.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad, not too bad. Welcome back. Glad to have you back on the show. You're coming off a big win a couple months ago, actually, about a month or so ago, against Gundrick King. You signed with Star Boxing. Tell us all about that, man. As soon as I read that, I was excited for you.
Well, in my career now, it's been hard to land the big fights and move up the ladder. And, for me, I need to get out of Oklahoma. I need to get on TV. I need to get in a contention fights. So, I've been talking with Joe DeGuardia for a while. And, we just finally worked something out. And I believe Star Boxing is going to, take me there to the next level and get me known and recognized.
Well, the fight that you had in September that against King, that was a Star Boxing. You were already with Star Boxing at that point, right?
Yes. I've been with Star Boxing since June of this past summer.
Okay, cool. But the King fight was the first one that you had under Joe and Star Boxing, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. Well, hopefully we'll see you in New York. You coined the phrase. You said this phrase one time that I've repeated and stole from you ever since. You said, they feed me the cupcakes. I keep eating them. And you were honest about that in the beginning of your career. Well, now, I mean, it almost looks like people are afraid to fight you. I mean, you're undefeated. You have no losses with 32 fights. Do you find that that's become a stumbling block, that you have basically too many wins under your belt?
Well, yes and no. Yes, when a fighter that they're going to take a chance fighting someone like me that they know nothing about, they know nothing about my style or what type of fighter I am. They might say, hey, he had no amateur fights, he started late, but that's a risk they're taking. And so if they fight someone like me, they, in my eyes, they're going to find out the hard way that they made a bad decision. But on the other end of it, I'm waiting. I'm basically even promote my own shows to get me to that level, and it's probably going to be that way. I'm going to land my next fight, and I'll have to get my next opponent, and either or, I'll be ready, and I know I prepare well, and the time is now for me. So we got to strike it now.
Well, Joe DeGuardia and Star Boxing, they've been around a while, and I know Joe personally, and like you said earlier, he's definitely got the connections. Is there anything that you and him have been talking about in terms of possible opponents down the road, and when that might be? I mean, the middleweight division right now is wide open, and there seems to be a lot of good matchups that would help you right off the bat.
Yeah, I'm looking January, February. To come back and be fighting a TV fight, ESPN or Showbox. But, either or, no opponent. There's been a couple names thrown out there, but, they've been thrown out there before, and I've trained to get ready for them, and they fell through. So, it's just I got to be ready January, February, and I don't know where. I don't know against who. I don't know if it's going to be on ESPN or Showbox, but it is going to be January, February, and hopefully that'll be my breaking out, coming out of the shell time, and people can see me. And I don't have a whole lot of years left in my game, so I want to do it now, and I got to do it now. So just be ready to rock and roll.
Well, let's take a quick look at a couple of middleweights that fought this past weekend. That either one of them, to me, fit perfectly into your future. And I'm talking, of course, about Kid Chocolate, Peter Quinlan, and also the fighter that he fought, Hassan Nadam. Both good fighters. What's your thoughts about the possibility of fighting either one of those guys? I mean, would you welcome that opportunity?
Oh, most definitely. I need an opportunity to fight someone like that, to make myself known. So that's what I've been training for my whole life, for that fight for that type of individual. But I can't overlook, the stepping stones there. So, yeah, if anything, materialized where I could fight these guys, most definitely. But whoever, wherever, whenever, I got a lot to prove, so I need to get to proving.
Well, I tell you, another name that popped up in conversation with me the other day. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I mentioned that you were going to be coming on the show, and I was giving him a little history about you. And the name that came to his lips, I couldn't stop thinking about it before I called you, and it was Jermaine Taylor. And although Jermaine Taylor is a known name, there's another guy that I would love to see fight the Comanche Boy, because I think that you guys would make a good fight. And then obviously a win over him would catapult you to where you'd want to be, I would think.
Oh, yeah. Jermaine Taylor, the name was brought up before this past summer. And, most definitely, I grew up watching Jermaine Taylor when he ruled back in his day. I'm a respectful man. I respect Jermaine Taylor and what he's done. But, I need to fight someone like that's proven, in my eyes, he's the old lion. And I need to prove to everyone that I can defeat him. And then they can say, hey, here's a new middleweight, and the time is now for me. And I wanted to show that it's my time now. Your time has passed. So I would love to fight Jermaine Taylor. We tried to make that fight and, got nowhere from there. So either or, I'll fight him, I'll fight Quillen, I'll fight whoever.
Hey, looking at your career and having you on the show several times, I know that you're always looking to get better and improve, trying to improve on your assets that you have right now. What have you seen? If you could take a step back and take a look at yourself, and I know you review, tape and stuff of your performances over the last 2 years, where do you see the most improvement in your game? Where do you think you've improved the most?
It's my maturity level. It's my being calm and being cool and being mature in there. When I first started out my career, I bounced around a lot. I wasted a lot of energy. And I think, from being tense and not having that experience of being in those fights and those types of situations, now I'm calm. My defense is just far superb. And, that's number one. And then, in 2011, I tore a bicep in my right arm, which was my power arm. So I had to mature a lot from there and develop as a more skilled fighter. And so now, my skill level has just risen, tremendously. So it's being mature, and my skills really elevated.
You've always come across to me as being a classy guy, and you act professional and stuff, and I know that you work on your physical game. Do you think that by signing with a recognizable promoter like Joe DeGuardia and his Star Boxing, that it's helped you mentally? Like, has that been like something that you've been able to feel good about as time goes on now?
Oh, yeah, most definitely, because, being out here in the Midwest, Oklahoma, it's not the boxing hotbed. It's not the most heavy populated boxers in this area. So, people are already looking down at me saying, he comes from, small town Oklahoma, and, he's got to prove himself. So I know the odds are stacked against me, but for a bigger promoter to want to, sign with me, and most definitely, in my eyes, he wants to test me and see what kind of fighter he's got. So I've got to be ready. So I know, win, lose, or draw, I got to make myself win and keep moving up the ladder. And Joe DeGuardia has really helped me in that aspect. I've got a bright, outlook of how I'm seeing my boxing career, and just in my professional life as well, working for my Comanche Nation.
Well, I certainly hope to get to see you here on the East Coast now that you're with Star Boxing. And I got one more question for you, and we'll let you go. I know you're busy. In a perfect world, if Comanche Boy could call the shots right now, who's the guy? Who's the fighter that you would most definitely want to get in the ring with in January, February, when you just said that's your time frame, that's when you're going to be fighting again? Who's the guy? Who would you, if it was all up to you, who would it be?
Well, put me on the spot.
Yeah, of course I am. I can't let you go without putting you on the spot.
If I had, things was my way in the perfect world, I could, I wish I could land an HBO fight and fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I wish I could fight him, but it's hard for me to call anybody out because I know I need to get there. Take that stepping stone and put myself in that type of so I can fight a big guy. But I don't know. It doesn't even matter to me. There's so many middleweights out there right now that are just like me trying to break through. So it could be one name one day and the next month someone else. So I don't even. It doesn't matter. I just got to win and beat them.
Well, listen, you're going to hear a prediction from me right now. Don't be surprised if your next fight is against a guy like Peter Quinlan or Jermaine Taylor. I'm telling you right now, I know Joe, I know his connections, and, man, would that help both you guys with a nice W over one of those two. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Well, listen, George, it was great having you on. You know we love you here, and keep us posted. As soon as you get a definitive date, get a hold of us. We'd love to have you back on and talk about the fight.
Appreciate it. You have a good one, Billy.
All right, brother. Take care.
Thank you.
That's Comanche Boy, George Tahdooahnippah, and signed in with Star Boxing. We're excited about it. Listen, man, who talks more about Comanche Boy than we do? I kind of feel like he's part of the family. He's I was trying to think when the first time we had him on. It had to be 4 years ago. It had to be because I remember a specific fight when he almost killed Mike Jackson in the ring with that first round knockout on ESPN. I got turned on to him then because I actually was working with Mike Jackson at the time, and I'm pretty sure it went back that far. But anyway, George Tahdooahnippah, keep an eye on for him. I think Peter Quinlan. I think that's going to be a name. Quinlan just came off that win. And they're going to be looking to fight somebody with a good record, and they're going to take this kid lightly. And you watch, Tahdooahnippah is going to be a household name, even though you can't say it or spell it. Hey, we got to take a break. We'll be right back.